Good afternoon. You may place this on record.
Court pleases. Your Worship, today is the 11th of September 2025 in the Magistrate's Court sitting at JP Karai Street in the matter between Emmanuel Molunga and 14 others. Before court is accused number 2, who is the applicant in this bail application, Cedric Willemse, case number 854 of 2025. Presiding officer, Ms. Muharukua, for the state, Ms. Lulungwe, and for the accused, Mr. Isaacs, assisted by Ms. Ipinge and Mr. Kipido. Matter before this court for the continuation of the bail application, and we are ready to proceed.
May it please you, Worship, I do confirm my appearance on behalf of the applicant in this matter, assisted by Mr. Kipido and Ms. Ipinge. We are ready to proceed with evidence in chief.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Worship.
Ms. Joseph.
Mr. Willemse, you, on the last charge for tax evasion, you testified that you registered an objection. May I just have sight of this document? Hand it to you. I've handed a copy this morning to my colleague. May I just hand one copy to the court to follow? Mr. Willemse, can you please identify the document that is handed over to you?
This document is from NAMRA, Namibia Revenue Agency, that was sent to me by email.
What does the docket?
From my accountant.
What does the document entail?
The document is an acknowledgement of receipt of objection as I testified yesterday. Should I read it?
Maybe just on the third page. Can I take you straight to page 3 of the document?
Second page. Third page.
Third page, yes.
The third page is just a screenshot. And the second page is later.
Maybe you can use my copy. I think you... How many pages do you have? You should have 4.
3, 4, yes, but the acknowledgement of objection is on page 2.
Alright. What does it say?
It says, we acknowledge the receipt of your objection notice submitted on the 23rd of October 2024, TIN 018067770, that's my text number. Your objection has been duly received and is recognized as a valid objection. Our team will thoroughly review the grounds of your objection and revert if there are any additional documents required to assist with the finalization of the objection. We will issue notice of determination of the objection, which will clearly outline the basis for allowance or disallowance in whole or in part, along with any necessary amendments. Hope you will find the above in order. Kind regards, Chari Retintundu Murangi, from number Senior Taxation Officer Objections and Appeals. And then on the other pages was just the emails where we followed up again on Tuesday, January 2025. Good morning, I won't follow up on the above matter. There was no reply, and my accountant phoned and said you do, and the response was you do not have to phone us, we will phone you.
All right. Can we take you quickly straight to the screenshot you said?
The screenshot shows that...
Sorry, I just want to see if the court is with us. The last page was...
The screenshot is from NAMRA with my text number on top, where it says the tax year. From the bottom, it starts with 2018, period 1032-2017 to 2802-2018, assessed tax due Date objected 11/11/2024, objection pending approval. Then same on 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. So all these text submissions has been filed, so no evasion of text, and the objection is pending. And as I mentioned yesterday, we first did get a receipt assessment, which was 4.2 million. Unfortunately, I do not have that document as it's on my laptop. However, that's why I was surprised about the charge being included in this hearing.
Okay. Bishop, if there's no objection from my learned colleague, may I ask that the court receive the document marked and to be marked as is it Annex B? Yeah, I think the A was for the doctor's note.
Is there any objection, Advocate?
There is no objection, Your Worship.
The objection of tax assessments for NAMRA is marked Exhibit B.
Thank you, Worship.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Worship. Mr. Willemse, I want to deal now specifically with the objections raised by the respondent in this matter, the state. Some of these objections, they intertwine with each other, but I'll try to deal with them separately. The first objection that the court, rather the state raised, was the risk of abscondment. You understand?
Yes, Your Worship.
What do you have to say about that?
Your Worship, I have no intention to abscond. As I mentioned previously, I've set up my life in Namibia since 2026. I've invested in properties in Namibia. I've built companies in Namibia. I've just bought my farm, which I want to retire on, Your Worship. My kids, after studies, will come and settle themselves here, as in South Africa it's very difficult to find employment. And all my family is here, so there's no need for me to abscond. And I really want to clear my name, Your Worship. As I have mentioned previously, I feel this charges is malicious, it's without merit. So there's no need for me to abscond, and I'm well known in both here in Namibia and South Africa. So where will I hide? If I run, I will just make things difficult for me, because the law will reach me at some time, and I don't wanna be a fugitive. So I have no intention. I have known about these charges since 2023, when the end 2024, and a lot of my friends has been approached by the Namibian police and questioned about their relations and deposits. Why have they deposited money into my account? I knew about the criminal charge that was laid, and I'm still around, Your Worship. I haven't run, because I felt I have an obligation and to clear my name and to set things right.
Just hang on. Mr. Willemse, you said you came here, when you made reference to a date, you again said 2026.
Sorry, Your Worship, apologies, 2006.
Yes.
Your Worship.
Now, in the event that the court grants you bail, one of the ways our system try to curb abscondment is to impose certain conditions, such as reporting conditions, can't leave the Namibia, do not apply for traveling documents. What do you say about that?
Worship, I am amenable to any conditions set by this court. I can report as many times as the court deems fit. I would prefer, since I'm my primary residence is my farm, and I'm there to be Mondays and Fridays. However, if the court feels more regular reporting, I will abide by the decision of this court. So I have no objection in terms of any conditions set in terms of bail conditions.
You did earlier testify when you start a bail application that both your passports are in the possession of the Anti-Corruption Commission.
That's correct, Your Worship. I have voluntarily given both passports to the ACC on request, and if there is a condition of no traveling and no applying for any passports, which I feel that would be part of interference, I wouldn't do that, because I do not want to be in the same situation as I am now by being incarceration and risk all my life's work. And that I've been established throughout my career.
Mr. Willemse, there's one thing I was wondering about, is that you testified that your children that are now currently studying are born South African.
Correct, Your Worship.
Why did you opt to have them getting the citizenship of Namibia?
Because ultimately this is where I want to end my life and my career, and I want them to be here. There was a conscious decision at the time I got married. I told my wife, now my ex-wife, that I'll spend 10 years in your country from 1996 till 2006, and then we come home. I want to, and that's why we agreed, and that's why she also got a Namibian citizenship.
The second ground that was the prosecutor informed the court is the risk of interference with investigations. What do you have to say about that?
Your Worship, I will not interfere with any witnesses that the state might have. In fact, I do not even know who those witnesses is, and if I am provided a list of those witnesses, I will gladly ensure that I do not make contact with them. Also, Your Worship, with 100% of the NAMCOR team since I have left, if those are the majority of witnesses, haven't been in touch. Basically, I've moved on. I've lived my life since 2023 after I've resigned. So I haven't been in contact with them other than maybe run into one or two in a shop or what. Then it's just meet and greet and off you go. So if there is a list or there is a restriction of who to not to contact, I will not do that. I will abide by what the court has, the conditions the court are imposing.
It appears that the state's case is based on mostly documentary evidence. That would be bank statements, memos from the committee. Do you have access to those documents, any NAMCOR documents currently?
No, Your Worship. In fact, I have handed in my laptop, the NAMCOR company laptop that was given to me. All access has been cut and restricted, and NAMCOR has got a very good IT or ITC security environment. So I cannot have access to any documents via any mode of communication to that, as well as, like I said, if most is documentary evidence, there's no way I can interfere in that.
Obviously, if one look at the charges as well as the evidence, it also involves bank accounts. Do you have any family working at any of your Standard Bank where you have the account?
I do not have any family member or distant family member that I can, from the top of my head, that I can recall that works for any of the banks.
In fact, all the bank statements, it appears, are already before court in this application.
Correct, Your Worship.
As you stand, you already testified to court that you don't have access to your bank accounts, correct?
That's correct, Your Worship, and that is why it was so critical for me to at least get my cell phone back, because after 2 months, I cannot believe that it hasn't been accessed or downloaded or whatever, so that I can at least have a view of what is going on there. I've got policies that I started when I was 20 years old, life insurance policies that will probably start lapsing now, and I wanted to make some arrangements. Unfortunately, end of this month that might not be the case, and I will lose all my life insurances and some of the policies that I've taken out.
Proposition. Evidence consists of internal memos, credit committee records, and NAMCOR defense agreement. There will be a risk of to destroy, alter, or conceal these documents. Do you have any comment to that?
Your Worship, any access I have to those documents is the ones that was handed to me on bail applications by my lawyers. And I do not have any other access to these documents. And I believe most of them was already in front of courts, since I'm one of the last, probably the second last bail applicant. So everything is basically in front of court.
Thank you. Mr. Willemse, since your incarceration, did you ever attempt or actually interfered with any of these investigations currently before court?
No, I have not, Your Honor. I have. All I did was just try to locate some of the documents. I contacted some friends to say, go and look for them so that I can defend myself, since my laptop was unlawfully taken. But other than that, nothing.
All right. Now, the third ground is the strength of the case of the respondent, i.e. the state. What do you have to say about that?
Your Worship, I believe, and this is my opinion, that the state doesn't have a strong case. And this will be, most probably will be shown at trial. I can answer to all of those questions, and in my mind, Your Worship, this was legitimate transactions. Number one, the asset purchase agreement, which was legally and legitimately concluded, which was also considered by the investigation officer. So any proceeds that are inferred, which actually, I don't know, I'm not a lawyer, and secondly, they are both of these charges relating out of transactions or engagements with these. I did in my capacity as an executive for the National Petroleum Corporation, and not as in my personal capacity.
You are charged mainly, or predominantly rather, with charges of receiving money either directly or indirectly, cash, from two entities. That would be NAMCOR and Adjournment.
Just a moment.
Thank you.
Can you get me another pen? I think in my office. One of your pens. Can you proceed?
Based on the documents before court and what the investigating officer informed you or the state, are there any, or is there any direct evidence linking you with payments from NAMCOR and Adjournment? Direct evidence?
No, Your Worship, there is none.
Although my colleague indicated to the court initially that the strength of the case for the state in terms of that is strong, our courts, when deciding bail application, also deals with the seriousness of offences, which would be a map towards abscondment. What do you say about the seriousness of the offences?
Your Worship, my opinion every criminal case, irrespective of which country you live, is serious. But if every criminal case is serious, why the need for bail? Then everybody that is arrested for a criminal case needs just to be locked up and not allowed on bail. So every criminal case is serious, and it's a serious matter, Your Worship. But in my mind, this is not a serious matter, Your Worship. This is a serious allegation. And we have got a rule of law in this country that gives you that you are innocent until proven guilty. And I feel I can prove my innocence in this, on these allegations, these serious allegations. So we've seen the charges. I believe they are not serious, Your Worship, and it was legitimate commercial agreements, and that has been criminalized. And we will prove that in trial.
Mr. Willemse, maybe just for guidance, initially you said that all crimes, alleged crimes, are serious, correct?
Yes, serious.
But you also said that you were able to prove your innocence.
Correct.
So would you agree with me that the charges that you are facing, which are criminal, that they are serious?
Yes, that I can concede.
But serious in itself is not enough.
Sorry?
You need evidence to prove that.
That's correct.
Now, the fifth ground is there are further suspects to be arrested as part of the ongoing investigation. When were you arrested?
I was arrested on the 8th of June, July 2025.
You're dropping your
8th of July 2025.
So we're roughly 2 months from your detention, after your detention.
Just over 2 months now.
And we know that there were 2 additional suspects arrested.
Correct, Your Worship.
Do you know of any other suspects that the state still need to arrest?
I only know about Mr. Malema that the state has mentioned in this court and in the other court that they are I'm not sure in this court, but in the other court they are looking for Mr. Malema, and that's basically it. I'm not aware of the identity of any other suspects that the state are looking for.
Mr. Willemse, do you know the whereabouts of Mr. Victor Malema?
No, I do not.
You already indicate to the court that you have one previous conviction, correct?
Driving under influence, Your Worship.
Is this conviction related to the charges that you are facing?
No, Your Worship.
You also alluded to earlier that you will comply with a condition. If any of the other grounds, if there's capable of being cured, that risk with condition, would you have a problem with that?
No, Your Worship.
Mr. Willemse, is there any other thing you want the court to consider?
Your Worship, the only thing I want to say is that my opinion, and I know for a fact that this charges is malicious intent from the company I used to work for, due to the fact that the board that has instituted these charges want to justify a bailout by using these charges and quoting a 400 million, which they refuse to actually recover from debt repayments from these 2 entities. And these outstanding debts were actually already covered in a previous bailout of 1.3 billion. So the company has managed themselves into another debt, And 4 days before our arrest, there was a bailout request in the newspapers, and just then suddenly this arrest with a woo, how, 480 million in the newspapers. There's where the money went. Please help us out, government. That is ludicrous. So I hope there's people that might see this in that light, that I see it and the rest of the accused are seeing this, that legitimate transactions are being criminalized just for a company that messed up again to get a bailout from government. That's all I have to say.
Maybe just one last thing. In my 20 years career as a lawyer, what usually happens is that the ACC would give you an opportunity to explain if there's some allegation of corruption. Were you granted that opportunity?
No, Your Worship, and I was actually expecting it, because the accused number one in a different matter was even called after the board also claimed corruption and intent to defraud NAMCOR on the Angolan transaction, which the ACC then later gave him an audience. They found he was not guilty. He was found not guilty by retired Supreme Court Judge Merits. And that deal was also messed up by the interference of the board.
But my question is...
So no, I was expecting that they would interview me, and yes, I was to set the record. And I actually, on arrest, I asked Inambao, the investigator, why didn't you just call me? We could have, and then after I have put my case in front of you, you could then decide to arrest me.
Is it true that you were arrested, one of the first persons that have been arrested?
I was the first that has been arrested.
Your Worship, that would be the case for the applicant. Sorry, you may just quickly have a word with Mr. Kidro.
There's also one ground, I do not know if it was mentioned. One of the grounds was it is not in the interest of public administration of justice for the accused to be granted bail.
Did I skip that one, Your Worship? It appears so.
Is there anything to say regarding that? Any submissions to make in relation to this bail application?
The state also indicated that it will not be in the public interest or administration of justice. It is not clear at this point what exactly this public interest my learned friend is referring to, or the administration of justice. But it's probably because it is public, maybe public funds. If that is the case, what do you have to say?
Your Worship, I do not believe it's public funds, and I do not believe, and yes, I feel the public, the ones that has actually very keen, showed a keen interest, would want to know the truth of what happened here. And I believe they can see the evidence that has been provided since this is a live broadcast, the whole trial. So I believe the public also wants justice, and they will also do not want a presumed innocent accused being already found guilty in public opinion. So I believe the public, there should be public interest, but in my case, I think the public would want to also the court to be fair, considering what was placed in front of the courts. And then that's all I would like to say.
In our courts, on some judgments, public interest is also sometimes referred to, or the administration of justice, in that justice requires clarity and legality in charges to avoid prejudice to the accused. Would you say, judging from the charges that you receive, that principle is being complied with? Clarity and legality.
Yes, I believe so.
So the charges that you receive, it's easy for you to read them and understand them and respond to them.
Yeah, but the charges is in some cases very confusing. So I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know, but I do get the gist of what they are trying to allude to, but I don't know if it's clear enough.
Let me give you an example. One of the charges says you must represent to NAMCOR, and Energon give you money and NAMCOR suffer that money. Is
No, that
charge
doesn't
correct?
make sense. That charge doesn't make sense.
Other charges say you must represent for being part of an asset acquisition, but the prejudice cause was giving fuel.
No, it doesn't make sense. That's confusing.
You already touched on it earlier in your testimony, where you indicated to the court that you are not a public, you're not a public officer, correct?
Yes, correct.
But are you also part of the public in Namibia?
Yes, I'm part of the public of Namibia. I'm residing here. I'm a citizen.
Do you think that it will be against the public interest if it is proven that you can stand your trial but you're kept in custody? Would that be in the public interest?
No, Your Worship.
Thank you, Worship, for alerting me on that ground. That will be applicant's case. Sorry, unless there's something else the court wants me to clarify.
Not at this current moment.
Thank you, Worship.
Advocate Basson, Lilongwe. You may proceed if you're ready.
Yes, I'm ready. Mr. Willemse, just to start with, I just want to ask you a few things with regard to your nationality. Are we together?
We are together.
Yes. You informed the court that you were born in Keetmanshoop, is it correct?
That's correct, Your Worship.
And then it's correct that on your ID, the Namibian ID actually says you were born in Keetmans.
That's correct, Your Worship.
I've also seen a copy of your South African ID. It actually says you were born in RSA, that is the Republic of South Africa. Did you see that?
I saw that, yes.
Okay, why is that? One ID of Namibia says you are born in Keetmanshoop, the other one for South Africa says you are born in South Africa.
I'm aware of that. I'm not too sure as to why that is the case, because at the time I was born in 1973, and at that time it was probably Namibia at that time was a province of South Africa called Southwest Africa. So I don't know if that was the case, that it was mentioned like that. I really do not know, but I was born in Keetmans in 1973 on the 13th of February.
Okay, I'm sure you have seen IDs of people that were born in exile. For instance, if someone was born in Angola, the ID would indicate Angola.
I haven't seen that because I don't have a lot of foreign friends, but it might be the case. I'm not disputing what you are saying, but I do not, because I never actually, so I got that ID renewed. There was first another ID, a green book, at the time when I was 1989, or when I got 60, 1980s, yeah, around there. And then I got my Namibian ID in 1991.
Okay, so where did you start school, Mr. Willemse? We understand you were born in Namibia. Where did you start school?
I started school in South Africa,
Okay.
in Appington.
You also finished school in South Africa?
In Appington, yes, correct.
You attended university in South Africa?
I came first to Namibia. I got my Namibian ID because that was just after independence in 1990. And in 1991, I started to work at CDM, and then I got my Namibian ID, and then they sent me back to study in South Africa.
Okay, I understand that, but I was asking you that you started university and finished university in South Africa.
Correct, Your Worship.
And then, in fact, even your first employment, when you started working in South Africa, is it correct?
No, that's not correct.
Okay, all right. So,
My first employment was in CDM in Namibia.
so is it correct that you stayed in South Africa for at least 18 years? That is from, if you can give us the timelines, from the time you were born up to 1991. That would be 18 years.
After the time I was born, my parents moved back because my grandfather, I was raised by my grandparents. They stayed in Keetmanshoop because my grandfather was a builder there, and then but he was farming in South Africa in a place called close to Rietfontein, and then they raised me.
All right.
So I started 18 years in South Africa.
Okay, I understand, Mr. Willemse. You see, the problem is that when I ask you something, you go on a tirade, you mention other things, but I'm just interested in the aspects that I'm asking you, because if you mention a lot of things, it will make these proceedings very long.
Okay.
So let me ask you this. From the time you were born, 1973, did you move to South Africa thereafter?
Yes.
Okay, and that is from 1973 to 1991, that would be 18 years.
To 1990.
You had said 1991.
91 I moved
Okay.
to Namibia.
All right, then you got married to a South African woman,
Yes, correct.
and you stayed there from 1996 to 2006,
Correct. Your
which is a period of 10 years.
Yes.
And if my calculation is well, from 1973 up to 2006, that would be about 28 years that you had stayed in South Africa.
I believe so, Your Worship.
Okay, and then from 2006 up until now, again, if my calculation is well, you had stayed in Namibia for about 24 years.
That's correct.
Okay. Your 3 children that you have are also South African citizens.
Yes.
And in fact, as you had told us earlier, you were in fact married to a South African woman
Yes.
who has since become a Namibian.
That's correct, Your Worship.
And you attended at least 2 universities, the Cape Peninsula University, as you mentioned, and Stellenbosch University,
That's correct, Your Worship.
still in South Africa.
That's correct.
And during your time there, of course, firstly, you have relatives in South Africa.
That's correct. Distant relatives now.
Okay, you also met friends in South Africa during your growing up and also during your university years.
Yes, that's correct.
And you also informed us that you had businesses there. If I'm correct, you had mentioned that you had 3 butcheries
That's correct.
and you also had a nightclub or nightclubs in South Africa.
That's correct, Your Worship.
And you also mentioned that at the moment as we speak, you have what you call a timeshare, which is like an apartment at Sun City.
Yeah, that's correct, Your Worship. Only for a week in a year.
And that has not been sold. It's still there. It's still generating an income.
It's generating income when I sell it when I sold the week. I don't have it as permanent.
Okay. And then you also had property in Cape Town. That's what you said.
I had, yes.
I'll still get to that aspect of the properties in Cape Town. But let's get to the issue of the businesses, the 3 butcheries. What happened to them?
I sold them.
Okay, we have been disclosed, we have been given a document that relates to the nightclub that you sold to your cousin. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Your Worship, that is in the first bundle on page 66. And your cousin is one Henvin Arnold Willemse.
That's correct, Your Worship.
And this document is actually what you had called a loan agreement, in terms of which he has to pay you monthly installment for the sale of the club.
Yes, that's correct.
All right. Now, in respect of the butcheries that you said you had sold, do you have any proof thereof to show that indeed these properties have been sold?
No, not anymore, because that was a long time ago, Your Worship. But I had butcheries, and I can recall the names of the butcheries as well.
Okay, because we have information, if you can dispute, you can say so. We have information that at our disposal that says these butcheries or these, at least the butcheries, are still operational. They have not been sold.
No, they are not operational as far as my knowledge. One is Econobuy that I bought from one of the other butchery owners that is there. And as far as my knowledge, I haven't been to Uppington for quite a while, but it's not operational as far as I'm concerned. Then Kalahari Afval Market, it's also sold. There's no butchery there unless it's somebody has reopened it. And because I sold it and then I believe they closed afterwards. And then there was Kalahari meat market. So those are the three butcheries.
Let's start with Kalahari Afval, as you have said.
Yes.
When did you sell it?
Somewhere in just before 2006.
And the other Kalahari?
Oh, I sold most of my properties except the nightclub. I sold before 2006.
But Mr. Willemse, what I find strange from what you are explaining to me, which is not plausible enough, you have proof of this sale of the club that you sold to your cousin, that you are still getting money for, or money from. But you do not have proof that you have sold any of the butcheries, none whatsoever.
Your Worship, that is because this was a repayment sale or something that was repaid to me, not as a once-off sale. I get the money and that's it. This was something that has been, it's an ongoing, and it was only sold in around 2017.
Okay, but just for your mere say so, you agree that someone would want proof that, okay, it's indeed I sold this item. A business such as...
Yeah, they should. You see, in 2006, Your Worship, up to now, and I have been moving all over in Namibia. I've been since 2006, I've been in Walfish Bay, I've been in Rospina, and as far as I'm concerned, documents of that nature needs to be only kept for 5 years. I don't have those documents anymore. Like my club that I sold, Steakhouse in Walfish Bay, after I sold it, I don't have any documents anymore of that entity. This one was an arrangement between me and my, in fact, I didn't even have a copy of this. I had to request a copy from my cousin if he didn't have it. And that's how I got it at the time when Namra inquired.
I'll put it to you that the investigating officer will come and testify that in fact you still have property apart from the butcheries that are still operational that you have not sold. Apart from that, you have 2 houses in Cape Town, and that's what I'm getting to.
Your Worship, I had 2 houses in Cape Town. I'm not disputing that. But it's been sold in this year already because I have testified in front of court. I've liquidated all my assets so that I can invest to set up the current farm as a game lodge.
In fact, one of the houses was valued at 1.5 million rand. Do you disagree?
1.5 million rand.
Yes, it's still valid, not was, still valid at that price, which is still in your name.
No, I disagree with that.
And another property is valued at 2.5 million rand.
2.5, oh, sorry, 1.5 million rands.
Yes.
Not rent. Okay.
Rands.
Rands, I don't believe there's a property that is 1.5 million rands because both properties that you are referring to, the second one, 2.5, the other one also 2.5. But it's been sold.
In fact, as at yesterday, you had entrusted a law firm by the name of Gravensteins Incorporated in Cape Town to sell one of the properties that you still have in Cape Town.
Both are being sold. And
Just let him finish the sentence. I
Apologies.
didn't hear your sentence or your question.
Yes, in fact, we have information that as at yesterday, the 10th of September, the accused person's property, one of those properties, is being sold, and that sale of that property is being handled by a law firm by the name Gravensteins Incorporated in Cape Town.
You guys just get clarity. Is my reference saying that yesterday the instruction is given to sell the house? It's not clear. As of yesterday, what does it mean? Was the instruction by the accused whilst in prison give instructions yesterday for the house to be sold?
Well, I'm saying the information came to us yesterday that the accused is in a process of selling that house. One of the properties in Cape Town, and the law firm handling it is called Gravensteins Incorporated, which is a law firm in Cape Town. So we do not know when the instructions were given, but yesterday the information that we got is that that property is about to be sold, is in the process of being sold.
Thank you for the clarity, because it sounds, you say yesterday the applicant gave that instruction.
Your Worship, if I may answer.
Yes, please go ahead.
That's not entirely correct that it's yesterday being sold. It's probably yesterday, I don't know because I'm incarcerated, probably registered or going to be registered. Because I sold this property a few months ago. We signed the sale agreements. That property was in the market. Prior to my arrest, I didn't even know I was being arrested. And I told the court that I've liquidated all my assets and to try to come and invest in Namibia. So therefore, the sale agreements has been signed maybe 2 months or 3 months prior to my arrest, Your Worship, if I can recall. And this is the time probably the registration process took. And for the fact to mention how the estate came to know is that some of the documents that was unlawfully seized without the search warrant was one of these documents, Your Worship.
Okay, let's break it down. Do you know of a law firm in Cape Town by the name Gravensteins Incorporated?
Yes, I do.
Is it the law firm that you had entrusted with the services of selling one of your properties?
I believe so, Your Worship, because an agent managed it for us, but yes, I believe so.
You had said that was done a few months ago. What does that mean? A few months ago?
Prior to my arrest, maybe 2 or 3 months before that, I signed a sale agreement. And hopefully the ACC has access to my laptop. So hopefully they can retrieve a copy of the deed of sale.
You agree with me that for that information, you do not need to go to your laptop, that laptop that is with the ACC. You could as well have entrusted or asked someone to get those documents from that law firm in South Africa. It's correct.
That's correct, but why would I want to do it if the property has been sold? There's a signed lease sales agreement between myself as the seller and the buyer. It was sent through to them by email. I don't have the hard copies here, and why would I want to do that? Because in my mind, it has been sold. The registration, I don't know since my arrest. I have had no access to the law firm to understand the status of the sales.
Well, I put it to you that the reason for you to have these documents is to come and put them before court to show that you are a good candidate for bail. And your mere say so will not help you for now.
That is argumentative, really. To show he's a good candidate, that's argumentative.
Do you agree with me that these documents are important?
No, I do not agree with you because I have been open to the court and honest to the court that I said I sold my properties in South Africa. Why do I want to come and show proof that I did sell the properties? I can do that and I would have done it, Your Worship, if my laptop was been given to me after they have downloaded whatever needs to be downloaded. But I'm not a lawyer and I don't know what is required from the court in terms of proving that I did sell the assets. But I believe if the state is welcome at trial to show that I lied, or even to the court by providing the go into the laptop and pull the documents and prove to the court I'm lying.
Just to put that aspect to rest, the investigating officer will come and testify that these properties are still in your name, they have not been sold as you claim.
That's not true, Your Worship. I have signed all documents, registration was in process, there was nothing more for me to sign. In fact, my last trip to Cape Town, when I came back with the Jeep I was driving at, I signed everything at the law firm and I came back and that was it. It's just now registration that was pending and that's it. So it's been sold. Because, Your Worship, when somebody signs a document, and normally that contract is valid for the last person signing. And I have signed.
Okay, we understand that. Let's talk about the cars. The Jeep, is it correct that it has a South African registration number?
All my cars is South African registration number. That's not a secret.
Okay, the Toyota Baki is also a registration number PPLWP.
Correct.
And we have information, the investigating officer will come and testify that in fact these cars are registered in South Africa and are being financed in banks that are in South Africa, not Namibia.
Correct. I've never said that the vehicles is financed in South Africa. I said it's been financed by the bank.
In South Africa?
No, I didn't say in South Africa or in Namibia, but it is financed by the bank in South Africa, by banks of South Africa.
Is it also correct that you have bank accounts with FNB South Africa?
No, not FNB South Africa, just Standard Bank South Africa.
Is it correct that you have a bank account with NED South Africa?
No.
In fact, I'm putting it to you that the investigating officer will come
Just before you proceed, you said that it's not FNB, but?
I do not have a bank account with FNB South Africa, Your Worship. I do not have a bank account with Nedbank South Africa, Your Worship. I have a bank account with Standard Bank South Africa, Your Worship.
You may proceed.
So which bank is financing these two cars?
I believe oh, I see where your question comes from. One bank is my bank account, which my transactional bank account is Standard Bank South Africa, and one of the vehicles, I believe the Baki, if I'm correct, is financed by South Africa, Standard Bank South Africa. One of the vehicles is financed by ABSA, and one of the vehicles, I'm not too sure which is the other one, if it's West Bank or Nedbank, I don't know, because the company that I bought this cars from, they arrange the finance, they contact various banks, send them my Standard Bank details and my profile, and then he obtains the financing.
West Bank is the vehicle
as a finance of FNB.
Yes, of FNB, yes.
So therefore, I was referring to the transactional account that I had with Standard Bank. The vehicles was financed through, one was Standard Bank and the other two, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe one was ABSA.
It is the version of that I'll put it to you that the investigating officer will actually come and testify that you denying that you have those bank accounts your bank accounts with FNB and Nedbank is not truthful, and we have proof to that effect that you indeed have bank accounts with those banks in South Africa.
Like I said, Your Worship, I have a transactional account with Standard Bank South Africa. I do not have any transactional account with any other banks. My vehicles might have been financed. One I know for a fact was ABSA Bank. I do not know the other one because it's 3 vehicles. and I've placed that on record with the court. So I'm not too sure if it's FNB or Nedbank, but those are not transactional accounts. Those are vehicle finance accounts that they opened once you take out a finance with them.
I'll get to that aspect, but I just need to ask you something. Is it correct that from your Standard Bank account, that is the Namibian account, that is on page... Your Worship, I'm referring to the second bundle. That bank account appears from page 288.
Bundle 2.
In the second bundle, yes, bundle 2.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, in that account, there are transfers that you make to your South African account, and I can refer you to a specific transaction. Do you disagree that there was money you transferred from your Standard Bank account to a South African account?
No, I do not disagree.
Okay, and then we are saying, because you have an account in South Africa, the likelihood of you absconding and started living in South Africa is highly likely.
That's not true, Your Worship. And Your Worship, if I may explain to the prosecution, is that I have opened a South African account because my kids are studying there. My eldest, since my kids have been studying that side, my eldest daughter went to school there and she studied there. I sometimes need to transfer money to pay for the accommodation and everything else that they might need. And since I had properties at that point in time, it was good for me, and to get finance for cars and etc., I had to open a Standard Bank account. However, that was not the only reason. There was also notices from the certain of the service providers that, especially my insurance policies, when I was in South Africa, I opened policies and life covers. I was informed that they are no longer going to allow debit orders from Namibian banks. That is common knowledge, I hope, for most of the people in Namibia that also deals with South Africa. Similar to the one account game, I wanted to ask them, they must transfer it. And some of these companies, as in writing, informed me that we need to change that so that your debit orders can no longer be coming through a Namibian bank account. I opened a bank account. It was no secret that I opened a bank account in South Africa. I had business dealings there. I had property there. And as I have testified, currently I have no property.
Let me ask you, why did you register your 2 cars in South Africa?
Because
when you stay here?
When I stay here, because it's always a problem when you buy cars here and you travel cross border with the cars sometimes at the borders. So I bought, because I've got dual nationality, I decided to buy the cars in South Africa because it's also cheaper to buy the cars there and come with it, pay the road RFA fee that is valid for 3 months and just renew it. And then you have a car that you can use here. My insurance, the short-term insurance, I've actually have opened to say it's covered for both countries. So that is why. And the choice of me having an account in buying cars in South Africa, driving it here, or vice versa, that's a choice that I have, unfortunately.
Is it not to hide them from the police so that you can take them to South Africa anytime you want to?
Why would I? At the time when I bought this car, why would I hide it from the police? I have no reason. I didn't know I was being going to be arrested in the first place. Number one, so no, it's not.
Let's the alkaline ionized water company that you say...
Before you proceed, I just want to follow up on this question. You're saying, or your answer, it is a problem at the border. What do you mean by it's a
Sometimes,
problem at the border?
Your Worship, when you come with a Namibian pass to South Africa, you need to specify how long will you be in South Africa, and if you have a car, and there's always some issues. So what I have done, although I show my Namibian and South African passports, there's always some kind of queries towards that. Not always, but sometimes there is officials. I've decided it's better for me to finance it in South Africa, my cars. All my cars was the 21 that I mentioned, vehicle asset finance cars that I financed through Standard Bank Namibia, was in Namibia. I have decided the last 3 cars that I bought to buy it in South Africa, and if I travel there, I travel free, because also when you travel with a Namibian vehicle in South Africa, the time when they had riots, they attacked it. My daughter's car was attacked once. So if you are that side and they have that riots or some kind of a public protest, if with a foreign car, likelihood of you being attacked is there.
Okay.
And it happened to my daughter.
All right.
You may proceed.
It's fine. So, when did you buy these cars? Let's start with the Jeep. When did you buy the car?
In 2025. This year. No, where are we now? Yeah, I think it's earlier this year.
And the Toyota Baki?
Last year.
And you had not thought of perhaps changing them to Namibia, to register them in Namibia?
Then I need to pay import tax on top of that. Then what was the use? Because Namibia has got no issue, or I have not been alerted of any restriction why I should change them.
All right.
And the actual reason also, Your Worship, I cannot register the finance vehicle that is still under bank, that ultimately the owner is the bank. Until I pay it, I cannot register it in another country.
The company for the alkaline ionized water,
Yes.
is a company registered in South Africa.
That I buy this from, yes.
Whose company produces the water?
It's a company. I only have the distributorship in Namibia for this. It's not a company that I own in South Africa that manufactures this water.
You get paid for the distributorship that you've
No.
just spoken about?
No, I buy this at distribution prices or at wholesale prices, and because I'm a registered distributor, all in my laptop, I get to sell Namibia. In fact, there's 2 of us in Namibia that are authorized to sell this water.
So it's not your company?
It's not my company.
Now, say it appears that although you stay in Namibia for now, it appears that your roots or your relationship with South Africa is actually also quite strong. Do you agree?
Not anymore, to be honest. The only link to South Africa I have now is the fact that my daughter is studying there.
You have property there?
No,
Yes, you have the time.
just the timeshare. That's not the property, Your Worship. That's a timeshare 1 week. It's like in every year, the Christmas week. That's not called property. That's not registered in my name. Property, immovable property, you have a title deed, Your Worship. I do not have a title deed. I have a timeshare that I can use this for this period in a year for 10 years this week. And that is what I've got. So it's not regarded as property.
Right, it's fine. Please, I think your explanations sometimes are very long. We'll be here for 5 days if you explain just a simple thing in a lot of sentences.
Your Worship, sometimes it needs context.
I just hope when Mr. Inambao come and testify and he tells a story like a storyteller, that the same comments will not be unwarranted to him. Because obviously it's cross-examination, and the purpose of that is if the witness testify, unless it's irrelevant, it's irrelevant to the court. So I hope when my learned friend calls the IO that he will also keep it short. But I think let the witness Let her testify.
It is noted,
I'll
Mr. Advocate, if you're asking an open-ended question, the witness
proceed. Okay, all right.
will
I'll
answer.
I'll do that, Your Worship. Now, the distant relatives that you have, you attended school in Uppington. Do you have the relatives, distant or whatsoever in Uppington? Let's start there.
Yes.
Okay, and then in Cape Town, where your cars are registered, and also, yes, do you have relatives in Cape Town?
My family, or my daughters, three daughters, is there, and then 2 cousins that I grew up with in Appington. Currently works in Cape Town.
Just one aspect that I nearly forgot. It's also on record from the documents that you produced, and those documents are on the let me just ask you straight away. You have a South African and Namibian passport,
Correct.
and those passports are still valid actually.
I believe so.
The Namibian passport is valid until 2029, you agree?
I believe so.
And the South African passport is valid until 2034.
I believe so.
Seeing that you said from 2006 you had considered Namibia your home, why didn't you not relinquish one passport?
Why should I? Is it a crime to have 2 passports?
No, you should just answer. I do not know.
I consider Namibia my home, Your Worship, because I have decided to stay here. I have decided to retire here. I've decided to have my kids and my ex-wife, I didn't know we are going to get divorced, to be Namibian citizens, Your Worship. Why would I do that? And this is a hypothetical, not a rhetorical, not a hypothetical question. Why would I do that if I do not intend to stay and retire in this country? I have got now, after all my hard work, the farm that I really wanted, and I was busy changing the farm to a game lodge. I intend still to do that, so that I can, and that is where my main income currently
The question is, why did you not relinquish one of them?
Because I need to be free. And sometimes if I decide to travel there, then I can stay there as long as I would like. And the same when I come this side. And if I decide to have businesses there in the future again, it's so easy to get there, because for a foreigner to get financing in a different country, it's a problem. But it doesn't mean Namibia is my home and I intend to relocate again. So the fact that I did not relinquish one, it's a choice that I made, and hopefully that choice is not going to punish me now.
Just one thing, Mr. Willemse, you agree with me that you are actually free, even if you have a Namibian passport, you can travel to South Africa, just as you would with a South African passport?
No, you have taken my South African passport. How would I travel across the border?
No, I'm saying you can use your Namibian passport to travel to South Africa in as much as you can use your South African passport. So you having one does not mean you cannot travel. You can actually still travel with one.
If it's not confiscated, I can.
Okay.
But currently, it's confiscated, Your Worship. It's in the possession of the ACC, it wasn't taken, it was voluntarily handed over on request. So therefore, I have no means of traveling across the border.
And you agree with me that you are a frequent traveler. I've seen your movement history, which we'll get to. You are a frequent traveler between Namibia and South Africa.
I've never denied that.
And in fact, every second month or every month you travel to South Africa.
I've never denied that.
Okay, and then the places that you frequent or that you usually visit from your movement history shows that your destination is either Cape Town, you agree?
I agree.
And the other destination will be you using the Ariansvlei border post perhaps to go to Abington.
I agree.
Okay. So that then therefore means your roots in Namibia are not as strong as you say because you frequent between the two countries.
No. It doesn't mean if you travel and visit a country where you grew, that you still have strong roots there, your worship. My roots are cemented here for the past, as I nearly said my learned friend, as the prosecution is alluding to. My roots are here, my mother is here, my daughters is only studying there. They went to school in Namibia, your worship. They matriculated in Namibia, your worship. My ex-wife moved to Cape Town after we divorced. She decided to come back because South Africa is no longer for her. A choice that she made. We are not together, but my choice is not to go there. Otherwise, I wouldn't have ventured into such an expensive property like investing all my life savings in a farm situated in Namibia and have retirement plans for the said farm.
Okay. The consultancy work that you first did for NAMCOR, which year did you start doing consultancy work for NAMCOR?
I believe, to be honest, your worship, as I told you, sometimes my memory doesn't 100% work with me, but I believe it's somewhere in 2018 or 2019. I know 2019 for a fact because I've seen the agreement, but there was a short period, and I believe it was 2018, then the then board cancelled my agreement, and then the following board reinstated me again.
Okay, so you did consultancy work for NAMCOR from 2019 to what year?
To 2022.
Okay, and then you say during your consultancy work, you were actually approached by NAMCOR that you joined them. Is it correct?
Not during my consultancy work, your worship. I didn't consult for NAMCOR when I was approached. So it was prior to my consultancy work.
Yes, and then you said you were not interested.
Yes, that's what I told them.
Okay.
For a permanent position, not for a consultancy work. I suggested, as per my testimony, your worship, that I'll rather consider doing consultancy work, but I wasn't interested, your worship, for a permanent position.
Okay, which I understand, it's fine. Why did you decline the permanent position of NAMCOR?
Why would I? My personal circumstances at the time, your worship, was I just started the trucking company, or started to get and the nightclub. So I was a bit occupied, so I'll rather serve. And for the record, your worship, because it was asked now, I worked from Monday from 12 till Thursday at NAMCOR. I was residing in Walvis. Then I drive back Thursday afternoon. So the Fridays I was not there unless there was a requirement for me to be at a Friday meeting. And the Monday morning I drive in the morning so that I can be here at 12. So I was not office bound also. I was flexible because I had other business interests, and that is not a secret.
All right. How much were you earning in your consultancy work to NAMCOR? How much was NAMCOR paying you for the consultancy work?
115,000 rand per month plus the expenses.
Okay, so I've seen your employment contract. Your salary when you joined NAMCOR was 1,380,000.
That's 100% correct, your worship.
Yes, and then if my calculation.
I didn't catch how much were you earning in the consultancy? What was your response?
That is correct, 115,000 rand per month plus expenses.
In the consultancy?
Yes.
Okay, and then your salary when you joined NAMCOR was 1,380,000.
That's correct, your worship.
And per month, After the expenses, that will be approximately 98 or 100,000.
No, actually around 75, 80,000.
Okay, so in fact, from your consultancy work, you are earning more than the salary that you are getting at NAMCOR.
Yes, but I had to make a choice at that point in time. As I testified, Your Worship, I was given a choice, either where the consultancy ended and not going to be renewed, or you consider permanent employment. So for me, it was better because at that time, I was already busy downscaling some of my activities, Your Worship. And at that time, 2022, I sold the club already. So I didn't have that responsibility as well.
While you were doing consultancy work for NAMCOR, were you also into business?
Yes.
So your consultancy work together with the business, in fact, you were making much more than the salary you were getting at NAMCOR.
Correct, Your Worship.
Why did you decide to settle for the less that you'll be getting at NAMCOR if you are making so much money as a consultant and also getting money from business?
Your Worship, it's a choice that I decided to make, and I feel that's a democratic right that I exercised. The fact that if I can earn money from other work while I have also other business interests, why would I decline that? It doesn't make sense to have an income here where you add value, you get an income, but you have businesses that also supplements. Because what is the aim? The aim of making those businesses to earn more money, but here you can also get some income. So that for me, it's a choice, unfortunately, that I made. If people feel it's wrong, that's their opinion. For me, it was right, Your Worship.
Mr. Willemse, you'd agree with me that more is better than less. If you are getting more, why join an entity where you are getting less?
Worship, this
Ask and
question-
answer.
just- Worship, this question is now, it's the third time he's asking me the same question.
Yes, Advocate, the question has been answered. I think you can move on to another
Move on.
question.
So I'll put it to you, sir, that you joined NAMCOR to leave your consultancy work and your business enterprises because you wanted to eat, as the saying goes. You knew that you eat or you get more money from NAMCOR than you were getting from your business.
Your Worship, if there was any evidence that I'm eating, yes, I'm eating food every day. But by eating, I assume, Your Worship, that is talking about being corrupt and taking money unlawfully, if that is eating.
Perhaps maybe the question seems a bit vague. What does eating mean?
To get money for his own self in bribes or kickbacks.
Okay, sorry for...
No, Mr. Willemse, you were in point. That is the correct meaning of eating, Madam Secretary.
Okay.
You may respond.
Your Worship, it's laughable, it's plausible, because I haven't seen any evidence that can substantiate even such a question, Your Worship. It hasn't been disclosed to us, other than inferences made of transactions on bank statements. So I don't even know if it warrants an answer, but for the sake of the court, I did not do that, Your Worship, to eat. I've been 25 years plus, Your Worship, actually 27 years in the oil industry, the others was in mining. I have never been even accused, Your Worship, of what the prosecution is even suggesting. So we have a situation where the state has been used as a hired gun for debt collection, and now there are inferences made. And that is what the prosecution is trying to establish here. Unfortunately, no, Your Worship, I didn't join NAMCOR to eat.
All right. Now, just to put that aspect to rest, I just want to find out. So, you had consultancy work, is it correct?
That's correct.
You had a company called Triple C before joining NAMCOR?
Yes, that's correct.
Which stands for what? The triple C.
It's just an abbreviation of my three daughters, not my three daughters, of myself, my ex-wife and my first daughter's initials.
Okay. And you were also running a service station?
No, I was not running a service station.
Okay, all right. Perhaps I'll get to that. All right. So, what did triple C actually do?
It was a logistics company, Your Worship, that also started to trade in fuel prior to NAMCOR. But when I got the NAMCOR consultancy, I sold those assets, because that's what you do. If I work now for an oil company and I get another work at another oil company, I have to resign. So I wasn't working, I had my own company, but it was conflicted if I had to work, still stay with that company and move to NAMCOR. So what the right thing to do is to relinquish your rights in that company.
So you are disputing that you did not own a service station in Warwick Bay?
No, I did not.
Okay, all right. So, yes, let's get to NAMCOR. Now, we understand now from what has been said by you and the other applicants that are not before this court that there is NAMCOR, in other words, the National Petroleum Corporation of Namibia, the parent company. You understand?
That's correct.
And it has subsidiaries, one of them which is NAMCOR Trading and Distribution.
NAMCOR Petroleum Trading and Distribution.
Yes, that one. And the other one that deals with exploration. You understand?
That's correct, Your Worship.
And you'd agree with me that the parent company, National Petroleum Corporation of Namibia, is established in terms of the Petroleum Exploration and Production Act 2 of 1991.
That's correct, Your Worship.
Section 8.
I'm not too sure which section, but I just know the act.
All right. So by virtue of the parent company being established, then came the subsidiaries. You agree?
I agree.
Okay. And you agree with me that the subsidiary, which is NAMCOR Petroleum Trading and Distribution, and NAMCOR, the one that deals with exploration, had only one managing director, Mr. Mulunga.
That's correct.
They did not have another managing director separate from...
No, they did not.
And in fact, they were housed in the same building, which is a Petroleum House, Aviation Road.
In different wings, yes, Your Worship.
But in the same building.
The building is connected.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
So NAMCOR, the parent company, would get its funding from government.
The parent company?
Yes, the parent company.
They only get a levy. NAMCOR is actually one of the only parastatals, the holding company, and that never get funding from government. If you would research that, the only time when NAMCOR, the holding company, get money was when the 7.6 cents, and I was still at NAMCOR at that, my first permanent employment, when we made that proposition to the then minister, and it was approved by Parliament, and we got 7.6 cents a litre for every litre sold in the Republic of Namibia.
Okay, I understand that part, Mr. Willemse, but I just want to understand something from you. It's common knowledge, or it's public knowledge, that at some instance NAMCOR will get, NAMCOR, by NAMCOR I mean the parent company, will get bailout from government. You agree?
No, I do not agree that it's common knowledge. The only bailout that we know now is that they got the 1.3 billion from, that was the bailout I know of. I'm not too sure when Mr. Namanje, if that was a bailout as well, when they had to compensate Glencore at that time. But what I am aware of is the 1.3 billion bailout.
Okay, but it will be in a category of what is called a state-owned enterprise because it's established by statute, gets its funding from government.
Your Worship, if we could look at the definition of a bailout. The bailout is that the government didn't give actual money to NAMCOR Holdings. They actually gave some kind of guarantee that NAMCOR Holdings gave to NAMCOR Trading as being the shareholder, because it's different registration entities. They have got different registered numbers. For them to go and get a loans from commercial banks, Your Worship. So it's just a guarantee saying in the event, and now NAMCOR Trading is busy repaying those banks, but they are using the guarantee from NAMCOR Holdings that the state has a guarantee to NAMCOR Holdings. So if bailout is money given, no. But if bailout is the guarantee given, yes, Your Worship.
For the purposes of governance, listen to the question. I just want you to comment if you can. For the purposes of governance, NAMCOR Trading and Distribution had a separate board of directors, you agree?
That's correct, I agree.
And NAMCOR, the National Petroleum Corporation, which is the parent company, also had a separate board of directors.
That's correct, but inclusive in that board is the 2 directors of the trading company.
Yes, so in other words, even if you are saying these are separate entities, they were in fact ran as if it's one entity, but in other aspects a bit separate, but in other aspects the same thing.
I wouldn't agree with you because, Your Worship, NAMCOR Trading, Petroleum Trading, is registered under the Companies Act. It's a PTY Ltd with a different registration number. It has got its own staff. The pay slips of those staff reflects NAMCOR Trading, different to the pay slips of the holding company staff. So therefore, it's autonomous. The shareholder is NAMCOR Petroleum, NAMCOR Trade, the holding company NAMCOR National Petroleum Corporation. That's the 100% shareholder, not the government. The government is the 100% shareholder of the National Petroleum Company in its turn. So there's a layer in between when you come to the privately registered company. So I do not agree with you, Your Worship.
All right. So I'll still get back to that aspect. Let me ask you something. By your occupation of the position called executive for logistics or something that you're occupying, yourself, Olivia Duneski, and Jennifer Amukwara were part of what is called the credit committee. You agree?
We were part of, yes, there were 6.
Yes, but at least for now, for the purposes of this case, the 3 of you in the case.
Yes, we were part of.
And the credit committee was governed by something that is called the credit policy.
That's correct, Your Worship.
And in the credit committee, one of your duties, and by you I mean yourself that is here and the others, was to assess, at least if I can loosely say, the credit worthiness of a customer before they advance petroleum products on credit.
Yes.
Okay.
Part of our duties was the credit assessment. No, that's actually incorrect, Your Worship. When a customer on board, then the sales and marketing department in conjunction with the finance department will review and they will go through those processes. The credit committee we do not deal with applications. They are set and then we deal, as far as I'm concerned, because at the time I joined in 2022, the credit committee was already there, customers were already in the system. There was rarely new customers that I'm aware of that comes on board that I had to preside over as part of the committee. Not preside over, that's the incorrect word, being part of the committee. So I cannot 100%, but in my mind it's no.
Mr. Willemse, as the name suggests, credit committee and credit policy. What do you make of that?
Credit policy and credit
Is
committee.
the credit policy that governs affairs of the credit committee.
Yes.
Yes, what do you make of that? You still disagree? Because I'm going to read
No,
to you.
I want to read also to answer your question in terms of the roles and responsibility of the credit committee.
Okay, what is your question, Advocate?
I'm asking him that the purpose of the credit committee, which is governed by the credit policy of NAMCOR, was to assess the credit worthiness of a customer
Yes.
before petroleum products are given to a customer or sold to a customer on credit.
Yes.
You determine their
on
credit.
on the way the state has phrased it now, Your Worship, that's correct. I agree with you.
Okay, that's what I've said. Let's go to page 149 of the first bundle.
I'm there, Your Worship.
There is a part that relates to so paragraph 4.
What is the page?
Page 149 of the first bundle. Paragraph 4, there's a table of glossary of terms and acronyms, but I'm interested in the part where it says credit limit. Do you see that? It's the third.
Yes, I see it.
Yes, third box from the bottom, which says credit limit is the maximum amount of credit that NAMCOR will extend to a customer with regard to purchase of a product. You see that?
I see that.
Okay, so in fact, on page 153, still of the first bundle, there is the part that relates to roles and responsibilities, and of interest is paragraph 5.7.
That's correct, Your Worship. I'm there.
And then it talks about credit application up to 500,000 reviewed by credit committee and recommended for approval by the executive finance and administration, which was Ms. Jennifer Mukwaya, and executive downstream supply and logistics, which will be yourself. You agree?
That's correct, Your Worship.
And then .8, it says all credit application above 500,000 should be reviewed by the credit committee and recommended for approval to the managing director. But I'm more interested in the word reviewed. What will you do if credit applications above 500,000 will be reviewed? What do you do?
In instances, it gets discussed by the credit committee in most instances. Credit committee will have a view on it, and they will make a recommendation, either positive or negative. However, there's a further layer, as explained, that after that, there is the executive finance and administration and the executive downstream supply and logistics that can further recommend.
There is an executive finance.
And administration and executive downstream supply and logistics that can further recommend, Your Worship. And as I pointed out, Your Worship, if Your Worship could remember, I think it was 2 days ago, where I said in 5.1, design and maintenance of the NAMCOR credit management process rests with the executive finance and administration. That's one person. The NAMCOR credit committee, and I referred the court to the composition of the credit committee, which include the executive finance. But in this one, she is specifically, that position is specifically highlighted. Then the NAMCOR credit committee team and the executive downstream supply and logistics also separately highlighted. So which I explained to and that is why your worship was asking at some stage, how is this relevant? And we said, when we come to the charges. So this is exactly what I was referring to. There was the committee, then which includes the two executives, as mentioned by the state, the prosecution. Plus there is the executive, downstream supply and logistics, and the executive, because they have powers that can further recommend or even disapprove.
Before you proceed, that is in light of 5.7.
That is in light.
So if they are to further recommend, in terms of what are you looking at?
In terms of
the roles and responsibilities.
In terms of credit, the approval or disapproval of credit limits, they can further recommend, because the ultimate authority that needs to approve this is the managing director.
Okay.
Okay. Just hold on, Mr. Willemse. I just want to ask you something. So if credit applications were above 500,000 and you were to review, you say positive or negative. Will the negative mean you decline to give that customer petroleum products on credit?
That's correct.
Okay. And then we have seen in this document there is what you had called, or as the document says, high risk, low risk, and medium risk customers.
Correct.
Yes. And it is common cause that one of the clients of NAMCOR was Enacon and Irongo Petroleum.
That's correct.
At least for the purposes of this case.
That's correct.
So let's start with Enacon. In what category was Enacon in terms of these three categories: high risk, low risk, or medium risk?
To be honest, Your Worship, as I was a member of the credit committee, I cannot recall Enacon, I recall Irongo Petroleum, but I believe they should have probably also be in the low risk category, which is level, let me just go there. But like I said, I joined the credit committee when these customers were already risk profiled.
Okay. Do you want to answer before I ask the next question?
No,
you want to comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure what low risk is again, Your Worship. To give the correct answer to risk category A, yes, I believe they should have been in that ranking, but like I said, when they were onboarded, and I also explained to the court that sales and marketing deals with the customers. My role was not to deal with customers other than to be part. The only time I am part of when it comes to a customer is when you would review a credit limit, or I would deliver fuel after it has been approved to these customers' premises. My team would do that. Yeah.
Okay. I just want you to comment to the following. You know a client called EcoFuel?
Yes, I know a client called EcoFuel. EcoFuel.
EcoFuel Investment CC.
Yes.
Are you aware that Enacon, or actually the debts of EcoFuel were ceded to Enacon? You are aware of that?
I'm aware of that.
And that date was about 73 million. You are aware of that?
Yes, I'm aware of that.
Was that before or after you had joined the credit committee?
Before.
Okay. And then, taking into account what you have just said, the categories A, B, and C, high, medium, and low.
Yeah.
Seeing that the credit policy actually here says it's the credit limit of 500,000. You will agree that if a debt went up to 73 million, this is a high risk customer.
Your Worship, it depends on how the prosecution views it. As I explained yesterday, that happened before my time as part of the credit committee. However, if a customer that is over 500, surely there would have been risk profile done on that customer, and according to that, a limit would have been assigned. But I also testified, Your Worship, that credit limit is not cast in stone. So it's depend on how a customer grows. So I cannot testify or comment on how the account got to 73 million. I cannot.
Okay.
However, I know about the session of the debt.
Let me take you to page 156A, paragraph 13.3, which states every customer must be assigned a credit limit taking into account the following. Firstly, customer requirements based on anticipated volumes, including peak purchasing periods, prices, and other trading terms. You see that?
Yes.
So, your answer, your previous answer of saying it depends. If the credit policy says every customer must be assigned a credit limit, what do you make of that?
Every customer, Your Worship, if I can answer that question, I cannot answer that question in relation to eco fuel that the state was referring to. Every customer will be assigned a credit limit. That's correct, Your Worship. However, that credit limit is not cast in stone. In actual fact, what needs to happen, once you have increased, it has to be adjusted in the system, which probably the team responsible for that hasn't done. But if I also can refer you to just the below 13.4, why would you have for cash customers a credit limit of $1 must be entered into the accounting system? Because they won't owe, they are paying cash, but there needs to be a $1 in the system.
I want you to hear your answer, Mr. Willemse.
No, I'm saying,
yes,
and I'm answering to you, that a customer will be assigned a credit limit. I agree with you on that.
Yes.
One. And I agree also with you, why would the policy state customer requirements based on anticipated volumes, which I've read into the record 2 days ago, based on anticipated volumes, including peak pricing periods. What happens in a peak pricing period? You exceed the credit limit. It's obvious because the price of fuel is going up in a peak, or if the demand is higher. So that is why what happens needs to happen, and this is like a fluid business because it's not a business that's cast in stone. Business grow. Tomorrow you sell 10 bottles of fuel. The day after you sell 1. The day after you sell 50.
Okay, just hold on. Yesterday you had mentioned that there was an anomaly in the credit policy. You agree?
I agree.
And you were part of the credit committee.
Not an anomaly in the credit committee, anomaly in the credit system.
Yes, I understand. But as a member of the credit committee, what did you do yourself specifically? Let me ask you about yourself. When you noticed that there was an anomaly in the credit system or the credit policy.
The only thing, Your Worship, that I did is that the chairperson of the credit committee alerted the board. But that was even done prior to me joining the committee. So sometimes we will ask, what was the board? What did the board say about this anomaly? And I also testified, Your Worship, that the board did nothing. And in the absence of nothing doesn't mean nothing, the business should stand still. They haven't issued a directive to fix it or to stop giving credit. Because, Your Worship, the IO will probably testify that some of these decisions were not informed to the board. The board wasn't known, but it's operational decisions. However, when these operational anomalies were informed to the board, that is also wrong, and the board did nothing.
Mr. Willemse, an anomaly is something that should be rectified. You agree?
I agree.
If something is not normal, as you are saying, an anomaly.
I agree.
Yes, but then my question is, as the member of the credit committee, when you realized that there was an anomaly in the credit policy which was governing the credit committee, did you not think this will bring problems that you alert the MD or whoever that we should change the anomalies in the credit policy?
Your Worship, can we refer to this policy to the first page? And in order to answer, the MD was alerted, the executive finance responsible for the financials of the company was alerted, the NAMCOR trading board was alerted, the NAMCOR holdings board was alerted, and this policy belongs or was authorized by the board chairperson of the NAMCOR Petroleum Corporation, Mr. Engelhard Kongoro, who opened this case on the 14th of 2019, Your Worship. So the owners of this policy were alerted, Your Worship. They were duly informed, Your Worship. So as a member of the credit committee, what else does the state expect I should have done, or the rest of the credit committee should have done, if everybody up to the owner of this policy was alerted, Mr. Prosecutor?
Where is the proof, at least in writing or a memo, that says either you, Jennifer Mukwaya, Olivia Duneski alerted the board to say there is an anomaly in the policy? Is there such a thing? Because I have not come across it.
Your Worship, this case was registered once we all left the company. We didn't have access to all our documents. However, the state had access and could at any time ask the board. In actual fact, I would actually suggest that board minutes be summoned, especially when we go to trial, and audio recordings, because sometimes they do not get the right minutes written down as per the audio. Then we can hear this evidence, Mr. Prosecutor, that it is there. And if you want to disprove what I'm saying, the evidence is there. The state has been disclosing piecemeals.
Okay, by the term or the word alerted, what do you mean by that?
Sorry, alerted.
Yes. When you said the board was alerted, everyone was alerted, what do you mean by that?
Was informed, sorry, Your Honor. The Executive Finance, who's also the chairperson of the credit committee, has also testified in the other court with Magistrate Samanzala, that she informed the board in several meetings. Your Worship, the executive committee meets once a month, which is all the executives. Then the audit and finance committee, which he is directly reported into, gets informed of any issues regarding all from bad debts to performance, everything. And then the main board, which he also informs them. So alerted means we inform them and a decision gets made.
So you were part of the people that informed the board?
No, I wasn't part of that. So that's why I said all I was told and aware of is that it was escalated to the MD, that he was informed. That's the feedback we got. And I had no, I do not need to doubt that the feedback or ask for proof. Where is the proof that you indeed informed the MD, that you indeed informed the board?
So the short of your answer is to say, yes, we realized or we noticed that there was an anomaly, we alerted them. Is that what you are saying?
Yes.
But from what I've just put to you previously, that there is no letter or internal memo whatsoever that we have seen so far from the onset of this case that such was communicated to the board. Or are you able to show it to me at least for now?
I disagree that there was no letter, but I agree with you that I cannot prove it.
Okay.
Because I do not have it. All I'm saying to you is that if you come into a game in the middle of the game and the rules has already been defined and certain things has become practice, you ask, was the board informed? Yes. What did the board say? No. You were aware. Then you continue. What are you supposed to do? Because it became a practice. And, Your Worship, the practice of this did not only go to Enacon and Irongo, Your Worship. This practice was all over. However, Mr. Prosecutor would just like to highlight these two, to say why. But if this was only to these two entities, I would agree with, and I would 100% say yes, it was only to these two, but it wasn't. It was a practice that has become a norm. And because the overdues and bad customers and outstanding debts are being reported to the board constantly, and repayment plans, Your Worship. And the board, up to the time I left the company, did not one time discipline anybody for these anomalies, didn't act on these anomalies, Your Worship. Now we are standing in a criminal court trying to explain where is the proof of this. So if something becomes a norm, it's all from the board not guilty of this anomaly? Or is it just the people on that committee that is now guilty? Thank you, Your Worship.
Mr. Willemse, just for, before I conclude for the day, you say this had become a norm, as you can say, that customers will exceed their credit limits and nothing was actually being done. Don't you think this is something that will be called horrible decisions? That will be in what I would call a book of horrible decisions, which was at NAMCOR. That NAMCOR was aware that certain customers were exceeding their credit limit, yet it continued to happen.
Your Worship, in conjunction with this, credit limit is not the only decision. Credit limit needs to, and I've highlighted to the court, certain factors that needs to be taken in consideration, like growth, creditworthiness, liquidity, solvency, all of that. But on the one point, I would like to answer him on that, because I agree on one point. The point of raising and knowing this anomaly, but managing this anomaly, there's two different things. But I would 100% agree to you, Mr. Prosecutor. It's horrible that a board cannot come back and take a decision or make a ruling and say, no, that's why an inquiry needs to be lodged into that board, and I agree with you. Horrible decisions has been made, yes, that I agree. But within the horrible decisions, you manage some of these things within limits.
Just to conclude, and I want to continue from this tomorrow, I want to alert you to page 157, paragraph 17.3, and I want to read it to you. It says, customers shall be blocked for further delivery when credit limit is exceeded or customer is overdue. You see that?
I know that.
Okay, so in other words, despite you saying there were anomalies, the policy is actually very clear, and I will demonstrate tomorrow that, look, the policy was very clear that if a customer had exceeded their credit limit, they should have been blocked. You agree?
I agree with you, Your Worship, but you shouldn't look at something just in isolation and have tunnel vision, Your Worship. This is a business we were running, and the objective was growth. And if your board that you go and say, NAMCOR owes 35 million, and they say, how are we going to, can you come up with action plans? They didn't say stop or block or what. Although the credit, that's why it also further say, and Mr. Prosecutor must also read, or a customer is overdue. So the customer, if it becomes overdue, but it's still, there's something else, Your Worship, that is very important, is the terms, 30 days plus of statement. So 30 days after statement. What does that mean, Your Worship? And you have signed a contract that is saying this is the volumes of this customer, which is equivalent to a monthly offtake of his limit. But he only has to pay in the next 30 days. So when he needs to pay this, so he has to trade. Otherwise, that you block him, you don't get sales for that month. But the customer is a performer. A bank, if I'm overdue and I want a temporary, and I go and ask for my credit limit, they review it and they give it. But if I don't pay, do I get locked up? No. But there is means, and that's why the policy also say this is a risk-based policy, and it's subjective, Your Worship. However, subjective means what? It means discretion. And if customers are paying, what does that mean? And if customer business grows, what does that mean? So one cannot look at an isolation in one paragraph stating this, but you ignore all the other paragraphs and sentences in this policy.
All right, Mr. Willemse, I think we'll continue tomorrow in this book of horrible decisions on NAMCOR tomorrow. I still have a lot, Your Worship, to cover, but I'll propose that we adjourn until tomorrow for me to continue. I just do not know whether we start at perhaps at 10, still the same time, maybe, or 9. I'm with the court.
I think we can start at 10 a.m.
The time is, I have no objection if you hold on.
It's in order, Your Worship.
The matter is then adjourned to the 12th of September. 12th September for continuation of bail application. Accused applicant, you are remanded in custody.
Thank you.
That's court,
Okay.
please.
Mr. Court, please.